Hi, this is Karen McNall and I'm with inspiredbygram.com, and today we're going to be making these planners. These planners I purchased at the Dollar Tree and I made them into something that looks like this. So super cute, and it makes a great gift. And I'm also going to try to sell these at my craft fair this year. I have never tried to sell these, but I will give it a try and see how we do. So this is what the planners look like. They're the 2019 planners by Jot, and they come with this like flimsy plastic covering. So what I did was I've already done this ahead of time, but I removed this backing, and you can recycle it and put it in your recycling. And then what I did was put tear and tape along all four sides and a little bit in the middle on the front and the back. And also I used the tear and tape on the inside as well, because you want to use strong adhesive because this planner is going to be used a lot, and you don't want it to fall apart. So I highly suggest some very strong adhesive like tear and tape. Also, I use the Share What You Love Designer Series paper. This is thicker paper than our normal Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up. So it just gives it extra sturdiness to the cover. So the patterns that we'll be using, this has a directional pattern, so we've got to be careful about that. And on the flip side, I used that on the inside and on the spine as well. Cut out some of the flowers from this gorgeous paper here, and you just use your snips to cut 3 of those out. So let's get started creating the project. The first thing you'll need to do is make sure that your planner is going the correct direction, because you don't want to be doing something upside down. So I'm going to release the backing of the tear and tape, and I simply use my piercing tool to slide it gently underneath. And if you're not gentle, you'll poke your finger like I did, and that's why I've got a Band-Aid on today, because these piercing tools are very sharp, and you can definitely stab yourself by accident like I did. So be careful using the paper piercer. All right, so I've got this all removed, and I'm going to just get that in my recycle bin. Okay, so now I've got to be careful because I've got directional pattern. Like I said, you don't want to put this on upside down. So I do this a little bit differently than my mini journals or my junior or medium-sized journals. I usually put the paper down this way, but this one is a little bit tricky because it's got a different kind of spine. So what I'm just going to do is line it up the best I can. And I'm looking at this and I'm looking at this and making sure I've got enough paper that I can wrap around on all the sides. So now I'm just going to give it a really nice firm press and bring it on the front side and use my bone folder to just give it another good press. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing to the back side. Simple so far. Again, just be very careful with your piercing tool. And one more piece. All right, so now I'm going to make sure I'm working in the right way. So I've got to turn it this way. I'm going to throw this all in my recycle bin. Okay, so now my pattern paper is going the correct way when I lay it this way. And again, I'm just going to line it up. I'm actually looking at this other piece here, just so they're about equal. And then just give it a good press. And then take my bone folder and just press it down real well. Okay, so our next step is going to be to cut these edges off, just to remove the bulk. Now, I've never worked with journals that are square, so I had a really hard time removing the bulk here. So if you have any ideas, I would really appreciate it if you left me a comment on how to work with the squares. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna trim off all 4, which I have them done. And now I'm going to remove, make sure I'm working the correct way. Okay, so now we're just going to remove this side of the tear and tape, the top, and the bottom. Well, actually, we're going to just tear up, I'll pull up a little bit of this side. Just going to press that down. I just don't want to remove this whole piece because this tape is really sticky, and I don't want to get any paper stuck on it. Okay, and then the last piece, the bottom piece here. You can hear my skin sticking to it. Okay, so now we're going to fold down the top piece, and turn it around and fold up the bottom. Now I'm going to give both sides a press. And now this is where I get a little bit of an issue here. I really don't know how to reduce the bulk of this. So I'll show you how I did it. And first I'm just going to fold it over. Use my bone folder. Okay, so that's laying flat. Now I'm just going to angle cut. And again on this side. Okay, so now now these are loose. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to find my glue dots here. And I'm going to just put a glue dot underneath here. So I know that's going to stay stuck down. And again, we'll do it on the opposite corner as well. And just slide that underneath the paper. Press down and release the piercing tool. Okay, we'll come up and finish the corners later. Again, we're going to do the same thing on the back side. So we'll carefully remove the tear and tape, hopefully. That's the backing. That one didn't want to cooperate. And again, we're just going to lift up a little bit on the edge here because that piece of paper needs to come down and hit that adhesive. Okay, so again, we're gonna fold and fold, and then use our bone folder, really hard press. Okay, and now we're going to fold this one up. I like to start in the middle there and work my way. Okay, and now just really, really press hard. Your bone folder will not break. At least mine hasn't. I'm pressing real hard. Okay, and now we're going to just angle cut and angle cut. And we'll find my glue dots. And we'll just slide that under there. No one will ever see it. Okay, and one more. Okay, so we've got our front covers done. Oops. Okay, all right, so now we're going to work on the inside, okay? This is not staying down here. Give it a good press. Okay, so now we're going to work, like I said, on the inside, and I'm gonna add a piece of paper. It's just a small strip to here, because what I wanna do is I wanna cover up this white here that is showing, okay? So what I have is I have a piece of the designer series paper, which is cut, I think it's like 3/4 of an inch by 6, a little bit over 6 3/8, but I want it over so I can trim it down because sometimes these are not always the same size. So with that, I'm just going to use my regular adhesive. And I'm just going to run the adhesive along both sides and along the top and bottom. So now I like to work this way, and this is real sticky here too, so that's gonna hold it well down. My paper's going the correct way, and I'm just gonna give it a nice burnish. Okay, so now we're just gonna flip this over, and you can see where it overhangs. I'm gonna take my paper snips and just cut it off. And again, on the bottom here, see if I can work this way. Okay, so that's trimmed up pretty good. All right, so now we're going to work on the other strip on this side. So again, we're gonna pull that off and add our adhesive. Make sure you get it close to the edges and slide this in. Boy, that tear and tape is so sticky. Okay, and bring our bone folder in. Okay, so now let's see if we have any excess. We just have excess on this. This side is pretty good, but we do have excess on this side. And we're gonna just trim it down. And notice there's a little bit over on the other side as well, so sometimes it's hard to get a real good flush cut. Okay, so we are good to go. Now we're going to do the inside. Okay, so what we'll do is remove these two. So we're prepping our inside. And I've got a piece of the Share What You Love specialty paper. I'm going to round the corners on this because I found that rounding them looks pretty good rather than keeping it square. Okay, so I'm just using my detailed, this is a detailed trio punch, just sliding it in there and pressing down, and it makes a nice rounded corner for you. Okay, so that's all done. Get rid of some of these scraps. All right, so now I'm just gonna run my adhesive along all four sides and a little bit in the middle. Okay, so now this is really no pattern to it, so it doesn't really matter if it goes on the front or the back side. But what I'm doing is I'm looking, it's pretty much a 1/4 of an inch border on all four sides. So I've got that pressed down, and I'm just gonna use my bone folder to give it one final press. Okay, so now we're just gonna do the same step on the back side. Okay, just release that backing, add some adhesive to this panel. You notice there's actually no stamping involved in this project. It's just adding paper and making something look a lot nicer than what it was originally intended to be used for. So again, this is just gonna, I'm kind of eyeballing this. Okay, and I'm gonna give it a press with the bone folder one more time. Okay, so now I'm going to finish up these corners here, okay, because they're pretty sharp. So I'm just going to use my bone folder to do that. Slide it along, flip it over, and do the other side. It doesn't take very long to do it, and it will smooth out the corners for you. Yep, so those are really nice and smooth. All right, so the final step is actually putting the spine on, and then we'll just decorate. So I have a piece of the Share What You Love Designer Spirit series paper. This piece is cut 2 inches by about 6 3/4. I think it could be, I think it's a little bit longer. And I'll trim it down. So what I did, and I scored it on my trimmer 7/8 of an inch on both sides to create this spine here. So I've already pre-scored it. I've already put the tear and tape on it. So all I need to do is remove the backing of the tear and tape. A lot of tear and tape on this project. Really not sure what I'm going to price them at yet because of the using so much of the tear and tape, because that, you know, that costs money too. So I was thinking, I bought the planners for $1, and I'm gonna try to sell them for maybe $4 and see how it goes. If it doesn't work at $4, I might go down to $3, but that's probably gonna be my limit. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is, hopefully you can see this on camera. All right, so I wanna make sure that spine is right in the middle and it's fairly straight. And then I'm just going to wrap it around. Okay, use my bone folder again. And then press it down again. This is gonna get pressed a little bit. Basically want a nice little, make it look like a book, okay? All right, so now this top part here is a little bit too much. So the exact measurement is just about 6 3/8 of an inch. So if you wanted to do exact measurements, go ahead and do it that way. But I like to use a little bit on the ends just in case the book is not exactly that measurement. Okay, so I've got that all trimmed up, and now the last thing we need to do is just embellish with these flowers. So I've cut those out with the my snips, and I'm going to bring in my Tombow glue, and I'm just going to put the Tombow glue on the back side, and I'm just going to place this one down here, and then I'm going to use this one. Again, just put some Tombow glue in the middle, and we're going to put this one over here. And now finally, I'm just going to use a dimensional on the back side of this one. I'm going to use 2. You probably could get away with 1, but I'm using 2 just to give it more adhesive, so it'll be able to stick on more areas. So I'm just going to pop this up. Let's see, go that way. Actually, I don't really like that. So let me just try to angle it a little bit more. I don't want to go over the edge there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So if you wanted to, you can curl up these as well. I did forget that step, but we can still do it even though they're adhered. Just slide your finger underneath the petals and take your bone folder and just give it a nice crease. And these you can just fluff up too with the bone folder. Okay, see that Tombow glue's already stuck. So that just gives you a little bit of dimension there so your flowers look popped up rather than just flat to the surface. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today's project. Be sure to go to your local Dollar Tree to find some of those planners. And I think they look so much nicer than just those boring black ones. So anyway, I hope you learned something new today, and you can find all these supplies at inspiredbygram.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day.